All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. The summer of 2009 brought with it one of the most anticipated off seasons in NBA history, as there was a who's who of all star players that were set to hit free agency, while the biggest of the big market teams had positioned themselves to take on, in some cases, two max contracts apiece. The Los Angeles Lakers, Los Angeles Clippers, Brooklyn Nets, and New York Knicks all had slots for max deals, which meant that the landscape of the NBA was about to possibly change. And when it was all said and done, the summer of 2019 gave sports writers and fans alike plenty to discuss. Via a sign and trade, Kevin Durant left the Golden State Warriors to join the Brooklyn Nets, while guard Kyrie Irving would join him there. After helping the Toronto Raptors win their first NBA championship, Kawhi Leonard shunned them in favor of the Los Angeles Clippers, while the Clips also acquired Paul George from the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Lakers had already had LeBron James in place, and it wasn't long before they acquired Anthony Davis from the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, the Knicks would miss out on these stars, and they had to settle for Julius Randle. And in the process, they'd go on to be the butt of some people's jokes at the time. But with these star players teaming up, it always brings high expectations. Now, for the Lakers in 2020, LeBron and AD would combine to help them win their 17th NBA title. But things have not been that good for the other teams that made splashes that summer. You think back to the collapse in the 2020 playoff bubble in the second round by the Clippers, and of course, the subsequent firing of head coach Doc Rivers. And when you look at this Clippers team, they simply have been unable to stay healthy. In 4 seasons, Kawhi Leonard has only appeared in 161 games in the regular season for the Clippers, which included missing the entire 2021 2022 NBA season with an ACL injury. Paul George has only appeared in 189 games for the Clippers, as this duo has been unable to lead the Clips to a championship. It was another disappointing trip to the postseason this spring for the Clippers, as they lost in the first round to the Phoenix Suns. And they primarily had to do it without Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. You think back where late in the season when the Clippers did pick up Russell Westbrook, and it was like, wow, you got Russ, you got Kawhi, you got Paul George, and when healthy, this could be a very good lineup that could do some damage, especially with the role players around him. Paul George had the injury late in the season, and then we saw Kawhi go down with an injury during that series. And of course, you just had to wonder what could have been, especially this year for the Clippers, because hey, before Kawhi went out, Devin Booker wasn't like, the Devin Booker that we saw as that series progressed, because his numbers went up when Kawhi was out. And of course, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, when healthy, are two solid perimeter defenders. So again, it's just one of those what ifs with the Clippers. The Brooklyn Nets, they were a train wreck from the word go with Kyrie and KD for so many reasons. We also saw them bring in James Harden at one point. Of course, he got traded to Philly for Ben Simmons. That didn't work out. Three different head coaches that Kyrie and KD played under together in Brooklyn. And then, of course, for a variety of reasons, Kyrie was only able to appear in 143 games for the Nets before he was traded to the Dallas Mavericks earlier this season. And then for Kevin Durant, he only suited up in 129 games. And of course, he missed the entire 2019-2020 NBA season, which was the result of him recovering from that Achilles injury that he suffered during the 2019 NBA Finals. But if you're the Clippers and if you're the Nets, was it really worth bringing in all these all-star players? Because I say that because the risk has not been worth the reward. And this is a classic example of buyer beware. I said it 4 years ago that I said it wasn't going to work out for KD and Kyrie in Brooklyn because I just felt that they weren't ready for the New York media. And of course, there was a lot of other things that factored into it. But the bottom line is they never got it done there. For Kawhi and Paul George, again, it has never come together, and the Clippers are still going to try this thing, I do believe. Of course, will Russell Westbrook be back? Will the Clippers re-sign him? We've got to wait and see. But on the flip side, for the Nets, they have thrown in the white towel on this as far as the super team goes, and they're basically starting over from scratch. I mean, Brooklyn did make the playoffs, this past season with a bunch of role players, and I think they're going to try to build and go back to building in the draft. Maybe that works for them. We've got to wait and see. And then you think of the picks and the talent, the young talent, everything that was given up to make these moves. You think about the Clippers giving up the rights to Shea Gilgis Alexander to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and look at the star that he has become in OKC. So you just never know. The Nets inadvertently helped out the Knicks because, again, 4 years ago, people were looking at the Knicks and saying, wow, all of these players shun the Knicks, same old Knicks, you name it. And, the Knicks took a back seat, if you will, in the New York area to the Nets media wise. But the Knicks have focused on the draft. The Knicks have brought in players, that kind of flew under the radar, at the time that they were signed. But look at the Knicks right now. I do feel that the Knicks as a whole are in a better position than they were 4 years ago. They're in a better position than the Nets. They have their draft picks, and they look like they can go forward as they are trying to build a team. And again, the Knicks have to feel good about themselves heading into the summer after they just got to the second round of the playoffs before they fell to the Miami Heat. So, of course, for Steve Ballmer, the billionaire owner of the Clippers, and Joe Tsai, the billionaire owner of the Nets, they tried to go out there and make a splash. It just didn't work. Again, the other team in that equation, the Los Angeles Lakers, they got their championship. I know that the previous season it didn't work out for the Lakers as they missed the playoffs, and of course, Frank Vogel was fired as a head coach, and then they brought in Darvin Ham this year, and the Lakers did make some moves just before the trade deadline to spark them as they got to the Western Conference Finals. But still, the Lakers, out of all four of these teams, are the only ones that have won a championship. So, regardless of how the last couple of seasons have gone, it actually did work for the Lakers as they were able to get that coveted Larry O'Brien trophy. This is something that all of those other teams that I mentioned were striving to get. But again, sometimes putting a championship team together, it looks good on paper, but things still have to come together. It, 4 years ago, the Clippers and the Nets tried to go out there and make the big splash. It didn't work out. The Nets are starting over. I don't see the Clippers starting over. I think they're going to try to give this thing at least one more try and hope that both Kawhi and Paul George can get healthy. But at the end of the day, regardless of the sport, you simply just cannot buy a championship. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.